the hardest job is not selling, but it's buying.
Right? Once you buy, you're locked. There are tons of content which is already gone. The pressure on buyer is very high.
B2B decision making today is no longer about a single person's decision.
No matter how much of branding you do, how much of trust you build, they will start small. We used to hire engineers as a sales guys, right? Non-engineers cannot really sell.
What is the biggest shift that has happened in this entire buying journey?
It's not getting easier at all,
Right.
But it's becoming smart.
As a marketeer, we need to understand the buyer's requirement and the problem, and that is where we need to, because the buyer is now leading the conversation.
The boundary between sales and marketing is blurring. Sales guys need to know marketing guys need to know sales. If you don't know, they're not going to succeed.
Hello everyone, and welcome to the B2B Marketing Podcast, presented by B2B World Summit and powered by Brand Story Digital. I am your host, Syed Mohanty. For long, it has been established that the buying journey is a very straight line, awareness to consideration to decision. However, if you have sold anything in B2B lately, you would know that it is not a straight line. In this episode of Rethinking the Buyer Journey, we are going to discuss key aspects of the B2B journey. Joining us today is Shahid Mehdi, Marketing Head at Logituit, who has closely been observing the B2B buying journey. Hello Shahid, and welcome to B2B Marketing Podcast.
Thank you so much, Saket. Thanks for having me.
From being a founder to a marketing director, you have honed multiple hats. Okay, why don't you share some of your experiences and what has kept you going for so long?
Great. Thank you so much, Saket. As you rightly said, I started my journey in B2B by starting my own digital agency. That's the time, this is early 2000, where we used to pay 75 rupees an hour for internet, right? So there were no internet. And we were a digital marketing agency at that time, early 2000. We started serving possibly the biggest customers at that time was Wipro, BPL, GE. These were our customers. We were helping them with the digital marketing newsletters, websites, right? We used to manage all the content on the website, presentations, stuff like that, right? And so I ran that agency for about 2.5 years. And then the dot-com burst happened. Then I decided that it's better to move to another company. And I moved to a company called Amsoft. It's a part of MS Ramai Group. There I spent about 3.5 years. And I rebranded that company from Amsoft to Valdel. I did complete rebranding of their retail venture and the BPO venture. And I spent about 3.5 years there. Then my biggest break came when I moved to Saskin. Right? That's where I actually spent over 16.5 years of my 23 years of my total experience, right? I just loved that journey. I learned a lot, right? And the kind of the product or the services Saskin used to give was amazing. I joined their branding and communication team, and I was lucky to do communication for IPO. Our IPO was very, very successful, almost oversubscribed by close to 72%. So we did the communication for that. And once we got the money, we started buying companies. So then there were a lot of integration communication, which we did. And Saskin was doing, I also did internal communication, also worked on employer communication. And as part of that, we were ranked number one best employer twice in a row, right? This was ahead of Infosys and Accenture at the time, right? Which was pretty amazing for us. And this was all thanks to the marketing has their effort there, but it was thanks to Saskin's great policies and people led approach towards how do they manage their employee and the engagement and the a lot of host of things there. It was going pretty well, right? And 2018 things started going down again. One of our key customers, Nokia, went down. Motorola moved out. Texas Instrument moved out of semiconductor. So a lot of things really. So what happened with branding, which was leading the communication, the whole customer experience, right? They had to take a step back, right? Because that was no more a priority. Getting a business was a priority. So 2016-17, I also transformed myself from a branding and communication guy to guy who will generate business. Because I realized you have value only when you generate revenue, right? Branding is important. Everything is important. I'm not saying they're not important, but unless you bring business, right? You show dollar value, you really don't have that sort of a stickiness in the company. And I moved and started experimenting with how can I help my sales team to bring that first level of engagement with our prospects, right? That's when I started Inside Sale. I built it grounds up, right? I hired interns. I started building this whole communication things with them. Put together the process. Started 1 year. First year was really tough, right? I myself was not a inside sales or a sales pro, because throughout either my education and my experience was in branding and communication, PR, and related to that, right? So it was a tough 1 year for me, right? But I somehow moved out of my branding communication role, moved into business roles, right? I started experimenting with with some of our interns. And second year onwards, we started getting leads. So most in the initial times, people were really not sure if marketing can really bring in business, because Saskin is in a very high-tech domain, right? It is a normal marketing guy can't sell it, right? Because they're into semiconductor, telecommunication, automotive, lot of, which is very, very high-tech. I took that as a challenge. I said, why not, right? And I got the support of my management, my boss at that time, and my CEO. They all supported me. Why not? Let's start doing that, right? And then I started building. I started getting leads, right? And then I got a big boost when they asked me to hire more people, right? And from 1 to we became 6-member team, and when I exited Saskin as a head of marketing, I had already garnered close to 100 million in revenue.
Wow!
Right, and that engine is still going strong in Saskin.
Fantastic.
Right, so I'm really proud of that work which I did at Saskin, right?
Yeah.
And obviously Saskin has a great products which helped me really sell it that easily.
Okay.
Right.
Fantastic.
So that's my journey in a snapshot.
Okay.
Now today I'm with Logituit, again a multimedia OTT video company, who is building softwares for all OTT platforms like Sony Live, Jio Cinema, and so on and so forth. There are multiple. I'm sure today OTT is the in thing, right? People are moving away from linear television. They're cutting cords and moving to newer way of consuming content.
Yeah.
So that's my journey, sir.
Fantastic. I think it's an incredible journey. I think you've done a lot of things, marketing, communications, and then
absolutely
inside sales. I think it's a fantastic journey that you've had. Great. Thanks for sharing that, Shahid. I think it should be an inspiration for our listeners also. So now, before we dive into our topic of discussion, rethinking the buyer journey, I was going through your profile, and I found a very interesting article that you recently wrote. The hardest job is not selling, but it's buying. Okay, and I must say, I couldn't agree more to this. B2B decision making today is no longer about a single person's decision. Probably to have been before, but now it's a committee of people, and therefore it's very, very important that how do you really navigate through this buying committee. And the second thing that you also mentioned, that it's not a straight line, it's a maze, and this is what we want to today discuss and kind of understand what are those key aspects of that maze. Okay, so and it really sets the context for my discussion here. Anything you want to talk about that article specifically before I get into the session?
Definitely. I mean, I really believe, because Syed, as you know, we also are buyers, right?
Right.
As a marketing, we buy events. We spend quite a few millions of dollars when we go for event, or buying agencies, or buying lot of other services, right? So we also buy. So we know how tough it is, right? Are you selecting a right event where you're going to spend like few $1 million?
Yes.
Right? Are you buying right CRMs, right? Is Salesforce right for you or HubSpot right for you?
Correct.
What is it? Right? Once you buy, you're locked.
Correct.
Really, you really can't shift, right? Because the tons of content which is already gone, right? So the pressure on buyer is very high.
Yes.
So as a seller, if you're not comforting me, right, then you can't really sell me.
Absolutely.
It also shows my ability to understand things, right? If as a buyer, right? So if seller is not really understanding a buyer well to make him comfortable, right, with the risk which he believes are there, right, he's not ever gonna sell the particular product. So in this article, this is what I tried to because see what happens is sellers, if they're not able to sell up to a particular customer, right, they may lose a lead, right? But if a buyer makes one mistake, right, they're gone. They may even lose their job, right? And right, so that's the reason selling is. I mean, that's one of the reasons why sales cycles are so long.
Yeah.
Some of the cycles, at least in my career, what I've seen, some are 8 to 9 months, even some even a year, right?
Right.
That's the reason, because the trust factor is not really there, right? I've seen why the same customer, when they buy second time, they don't take that time at all. They just give you a work order and you're starting.
Absolutely.
What has changed? Right, is the trust factor which now they have, because they have already worked. That's the reason most of the customers start with very small, right? They'll give you like a $50,000 or a $500,000 thing, and then they start giving you 3 million, 10 million, 15 million orders, because they want to build that trust. Can you deliver? Right? No matter how much of branding you do, how much of trust you build, right? They will start small,
Right.
and you should be ready to do that.
Right.
Right? So that's another thing which I talk about. In the thing, so building trust, giving that comfort to customers is paramount.
Right.
Right, and it will certainly cut short your sales cycle.
Fantastic.
But the large amount of time.
Yeah. So great. I think that was a great article, and you summarized it well. So getting into our discussion, and in fact, you've covered some of the points, but I'll just talk about it. Everyone today talks about touch points, funnel, and the buyer journeys and everything. Okay, but as you mentioned, if whoever has worked in a B2B industry, they know that it's not as single.
It's not linear.
It's a linear at all. It's a very, very complex journey. Okay. Now, before we get into more discussions and to understand a little more about the buyer journey, now you have worked in two different kind of setups. One is a SaaS kind of a company, which is more high tech, engineering products and all of that, and one is the new Logituit, which is more of OTT and all that. Now, from your perspective, how are these two kind of buyer journeys? So what exactly is the buyer journey when we look at? Now, we cannot have a same B2B buyer journey everywhere, at a company or a product level. So it has to be different. So what exactly is the buyer journey that you have been seeing? And if you can define that for our listeners.
See, one of the most important, what defines your buyer journey is what sort of product you have, what sort of services you have. If you have a complex services, right, very high tech, like in case of Saskin I was talking about, right? At Saskin we used to call it E2E selling, not B2B selling.
Right.
So engineer to engineer selling, because a normal non-engineer, we used to hire engineers as a sales guys, right? Non-engineers really, we used to think that non-engineers cannot really sell. But those ways, so the concepts of those services and the products are pretty complex.
Correct.
Right? So their understanding in-depth tech was very, very important for a sales or a marketing guy, right? So they can translate that to the main engineering head in that company, right? If they know that you understand their tech, right? You understand how the thing works, and you have wherewithal to deliver that, right? So that's the first level, right? And the pricing and the comparison and all come pretty late.
Right.
And the thing, they are not even worried about pricing at that time.
Right.
First, they want to test you if you really know the tech, because it's not every company in the world does work of that sort, right? It's not a normal typical software offering, right? It's a very high tech. So So your sales or a marketing team need to be in tune with the kind of customers you're going to talk to, right? On the other side is a head of engineering, right? So you really can't go and use marketing jargons to really confuse them. They're not going to work at all. So what you used to do at the first step when we used to set meetings, marketing used to do that, right? Basically covering value propositions and giving some big points. We used to have like our battle cards, which used to help our sales guys to, inside sales guys to really point those things out to customers.
Correct.
Right? Once they're convinced, right, they come on a longer duration call, 45 minutes, half an hour, 1 hour connect call. That's the time we used to bring up a subject matter expert from our practice team. For example, if somebody is looking offering in automotive, for example, if they're planning to build an ADAS solution, right? So we used to bring our ADAS guy to explain these to them. Right. Once this conversation goes, things move into the next step of your sales cycle, where they start talking to you about the pricing and what are the different models. Do you have any solution accelerators? Right? How fast can you deliver? Right? Some proof points, some case studies and stuff like that. That's where it moves on. Right? Now, compared to that, what I'm doing currently at Logituit, offerings are much more simpler and they're very straightforward, right? So there is in-depth technology, but at first level, because on the other side is not head of engineering. It's maybe the marketing head of that OTT thing, who's looking to add new features, right? Because he see the competition is also adding this. He may also have another pain point where there's a lot of churn, because these OTT, there's a huge churn, right? They have, because the entry point in OTTs are 300 rupees, right? So if they don't like what you're offering, they sort of move to another OD channel. So that's a big problem. A marketing guy will have this problem, right? So so you don't have to be technical to make them understand, right? So that's the difference which I see in these two buyers, right? We also do technical things also, but predominantly in OTT, what I've seen is not a very high tech kind of thing, right? It's mostly value proposition. Have you delivered it in the past? What are the solution accelerated, which is a big thing, because the speed of delivery is very, very fast in OTT, right? Whereas in high tech thing, right, they have time, right? Because they have a product's life cycle which is 2 years, 3 years. But in OTT, almost every day, almost every week, they're adding new features, right? Which makes it a very dynamic space.
Correct.
Right? So your marketing team need to be ready with all the knowledge which this industry has.
That's a great point. So, in your perspective, what is the biggest shift that has happened in this entire buying journey? Is it the same way you used to look at buying journey 10 years back, or it has evolved quite a bit? And in fact, today, there are a lot of other avenues. AI is there, and when people are using that. So what is the biggest shift that you have seen in this entire buying journey landscape?
Great question, Saket. And that's it's not a small change. It's like a tectonic shift which has happened in the way people buy. Right? About 10-15 years back, the whole journey was led by sales guys. So it was not a buyer who was dictating the terms. It was sales, right? Because the options which they had were very few. It was not, the whole world was not globalized. I mean, you're looking vendors who are in your country, in your location, stuff like that, right? So they used to have a limited option, right? And things were pretty linear. So you have pain point identification, and till you deliver the solution, it's a very straight line, very easy kind of thing. But today, it's not linear at all. It's a very, very chaotic, right? And now buyer lead the conversation, right? Because thanks to internet, not even AI. I mean, I'm going to AI, what things it is doing, right? Thanks to internet and globalization, right? People have more options now. And if you're looking for a CRM, you don't have to look for somebody who's in HSR layout will give you CRM. Go globally and buy, because everything is on cloud. Everything. Right? They will give you a bill. You have money to buy that. You can always look at. So you have more options. Right? And thanks to internet, today, I give you my example itself. Like, we do almost every research, almost 70-80% research, even before talking to the sales guys. Which is a big change. Right? Sales don't even we never come to know who's doing research for us unless you're doing, we do looking at the analytics of who comes to our website, the amount of time they spent and intent and stuff like that. But on a normal thing, it's very difficult to figure out who's going to come. So almost they have done 80% of research about what they are going to buy. Right. So sales job has reduced in that terms because customers already decided with whom to buy or who are the potential vendors for them. I'll give you an example, right? About a year back, right? I was looking to hire an agency to develop our website, right? Now, so usually what happens is you either call your friends like Syed, do you know agency, right? Or you go Google agencies, figure it out and talk to 10 different agencies, right? Now, what I did was I went to Gemini, typed the prompt saying that I'm looking for 5 agencies, only 5 agencies who are based in Bangalore, right? Who has experience in developing WordPress websites, right? Who has at least 50 customers, at least 50 years of experience, right? And they have understanding of developing website for AI companies. This was my prompt.
Right.
Voila, I have my 5 best options, right? And they also compared each other, right? This is the best. This is your need, and this is the best option for you. Now, I've never spoken a word to a sales guy, not visited their website, nothing. I have 5 different options. So shortlisting is now today people are doing shortlisting using AI. Now, this is still a simpler option, right? If you look, there are people who are using agents to do buying, right? At least for shortlisting, if not end buying, right? So now the journey itself, like it's an agentic buying journey, right? Not buyer journey. So things are getting a tough, I would say, for sellers, right? It's not getting easy at all, right? But it's becoming smart. If you're looking from a buyer's point of view, it's become very, very smart. How do you buy things, right? So it reduced almost like almost a month's time. So I spoke to the first agency. I hired that agency, right? I'm still working with that agency, right? So just imagine, in a normal scenario, it would have taken me months to really evaluate, right? I also added, do they have video testimonials? If they have that many testimonials, right? Look at where all they have testimonials. Show me those testimonials, right? So what it did was it built my trust.
Correct.
Okay, right? Instead of going and talking to them and trying to figure it out manually, AI has helped me doing that.
Do that for you. Yeah, right. Perfect. Okay, great. So from that point, I'll just kind of do a little breakout into the buyer journey. Okay, generally when we look at B2B buying journey, it's divided into about 4 different segments. Okay, problem identification, solution exploration, requirements, and then the supplier selection. I think these are the 4 key stages of a buyer journey. Now, you spoke about AI and how it really helped you. I think that's a very important point, and everybody today is using AI to actually do the research.
Absolutely.
So as you said, everybody is well researched. No, so when everybody is so well researched, okay, now as a brand, now if you are a brand who is talking to a buyer who is supposed to buy your services, at every stage, how do you build trust with them? Because everything is generated by AI. I'm as a buyer, I have read about you, I have generated a lot, but is it trustworthy? Is that content even relatable to me or not? So how do you really, as a brand, build that trust at every stage? Because the more you build the trust at every stage, the more chances of you being selected and being partnering is higher, is what I think. So your thoughts
Absolutely true, Saket. Trust is the driving factor.
Yeah.
For any deal.
Yeah.
Any business or any conversation starting, right? I start with one of the examples which I'll take it from Saskin's days. This is what it may not be relevant today, but this is a case study from almost 12-13 years back. There was an MVNO based in UK. MVNO is a mobile virtual operators, right? So basically, they buy content from main service providers, package it, and then sell it to expats, right? So they don't have their own towers or own thing, right?
Okay.
Right? Like Virgin is one area,
Yeah, Virgin.
right? So we were working with this customer, not related to telecommunication and stuff like that, right? And we realized the amount of content they're buying from service provider and which they're selling, there is a gap in it. Right? Sometimes they run short of it.
Yeah.
So then the brand gets hit. Because as a user of that MVNO, if I don't get the data when I'm looking at, right, I will not really use that brand.
Right.
Right? Sometimes, so that's one drawback. Other thing is sometimes they overbuy and they lose money there. Right? And they did not even know that this problem exists. They were buying, they thought it's a usual thing, right? Now today we have such great analytical models which talks about it. It was not there. And also because they're so focused on their core, they don't look at all these things. But we're looking from outside. So it's always people who are outside, they can see your errors, issues. So we went to them, we went to the CFO there and said, this is a big problem. We can solve this for you.
Yeah.
Right? And we really, we obviously we solved the problem, and that became like a super duper project for us in that year. And they started saving close to 4 to 5 million pounds a year just by doing this. So what happened, right? If they had so what happened in these phases, right? If you go to your customer at a point when they already realized that they have a pain, right? That's the first step, that realizing that I have a pain, there's something is broken here.
Right. That's identifying the problem.
Identifying here.
Yeah.
If you go at that time, right, then what happens is you also realize that they have this pain point. You both realize as a marketer, you realize that they have. Now, when that happens, they will not talk to anybody else. They will, the moment you go to other they've already identified the problem, they're already looking at the solution, then you will get into price war with, they'll release that RFP to 25 other companies, and you're fighting like cats and dogs, right? For pricing, and you're reducing pricing, they're reducing pricing. You will, it's a bad place to be. The best is you identify customer's problem and go directly to them. So they will never have, when we identified this problem, reached out to them, they never asked for any other vendors. They started working with us, right? So in this whole sales cycle, you call it, or a customer journey, the faster you reach, right, the better it is. If you reach when there's the RFP, it's a 50-50 chance. Right? And because today what has happened is services have become almost a commodity now, right? It's very difficult to really bring out any differentiation, right? Unless the customer trusts you, right? All of us look same. Right? That's the reason a lot of time, I'm sure as a buyer, we also have seen the service is same, and the only thing which we beat them up is on the pricing. Right? So the earlier you go to a customer, even before, the best thing is in this case of this MVNO, the best thing was that even they did not realize that they had this problem.
They have the problem, okay.
We do that. I use that even today in current at Logituit, where we do all this research. But for example, let's say we have an OTT company, right? And one of the, how do they deliver? They deliver these things through applications, apps. Now, if you go a particular OTT company and you go to their apps, let's say Android apps, right? There are close to 18 different platforms on which people can watch OTT, right? So it's a pretty complex thing. As a simple example, let's go to their Android app, and you'll find users' experience. They say this app is not working, payment is not working, it's crashing, a lot of, and they rate it, right? You already know. But the thing is, they also realize this, but they don't really value it at that particular time. Right? We look at it, we go to them. What I do is I use my quality of service team. So we have a quality of QoS team who does this research. I take that research, go to them, look, this is the problem you have. Okay. And this is how we can solve. We have solved from your 2.5 ratings on, we can take it to 4.5 rating guaranteed. Because we know how to build these apps. We have been building it for past 15 years. We can do that for you. So what you're doing is you are jumping that whole thing, right? Not going through the rut of the usual sales cycle, right? Just jump there and build. But it's not possible every time. So what happens is there are different ways in which you can really influence each of these stages. If you're at the RFP stage, then how you pitch yourself, how fast can you move them from the current stage to the next stage, right? By providing them the relevant thing. One thing which AI has done is personalization, right? Which is brilliant. I just love it. Right? It was not there earlier. Right. We used to do some sort of personalization, but that was at a very micro level,
right,
not on a scale.
Right.
Now AI is helping us do this personalization, right? Which is making it so easy for us. When my customer receives, my prospect receives that email, they know it's written for him, right? Because if I need to send 100 mails, I'm not going to write 100 mails, right? So we use AI here to really help us jump that whole 100, customize it each email, right? To move to the next stage.
Got it.
Right? It really helps. AI is doing wonders in
that sense.
In this in that space.
Okay, great. So what I hear from you is that from your current experience, what you said is that I think if you build the trust at the first stage itself, the problem identification, that really helps. Obviously makes you jump all the entire selling cycle or the buying cycle. And the other point that you also mentioned is that obviously how do you really personalize and how do you really communicate with them at different stages is very important. Okay, that's a valid point. But as you said, it's not easy every time. Okay, problem identification, and then going in, directly. It's not doable every time. But yes, that's a right thing to do actually.
Right.
How do you build that trust at that stage? Yeah.
That's true. Because it also varies on what you're trying to sell.
Correct.
Right. It becomes easy if you know your product well and know what exactly it's addressing.
Correct.
Then it makes your job pretty easy.
Okay, great. So that's a good point, and we'll keep it there right now, and we'll come back to it maybe later.
Sure.
But now let's getting into the other very interesting question. Now this is a comparison between B2B and B2C. Okay. Now B2C is always looked at fast, intuitive, and all of that. Okay. And B2B is slow. It takes time and all of that. And then you also mentioned B2B has a long sales cycle, which is evident. Okay, but I want to understand: is the B2B cycle is it like that, the way it has been mentioned, or is it because of the way the organization is structured?
Right.
When I say organization is structured today, there are multiple buying people, buying decision makers. There are internal politics happening. There are, preferred vendors. A lot of people have. So is it because of that kind of a structure within organizations that the buying cycle is so long, or is it designed that it has to take this much time because we have to go through the entire 4-stage process of problem identification, solution exploration, and then vendor management, finalization. So what exactly is it, and why does it really be so long?
Great. See, B2C is pretty emotional, right?
Yeah.
And it's one-to-many selling.
Yeah.
Right. Most of the time, B2C guys have already identified the problem. Right. I need a good shampoo. Right.
Yeah.
And so they have done their bit of research. Every one need a good shampoo to manage their hair, right? And they communicate this through pretty creative thing, right? So it's one-to-many. A lot of time people also go wrong there. But the product which as a consumer I use, they're not that risky, right? I'm buying 100 rupees shampoo. If it's wrong, if it's not good, I lose 100 rupees.
Yeah.
Right? And as the risk factor goes up, the cycle increases, right? If you're buying 100 rupees shampoo, you don't even take 15 minutes to make a decision, right? It's 100 rupees. If I lose, that's okay. Same B2C. If you're buying like a 30 lakh rupees car, you are not just having one buyer. You have your wife, your brother, your sister, your dog, everyone taking decision on your behalf.
Correct.
Right? And the risk factor
is higher. Yeah.
Right? Now look at a even bigger higher, right? You're buying a house. You're spending a couple of crores to buy.
Yeah.
Again, you have a lot of people who are involved in proposing what to buy and stuff like that. Risk factor is even higher. Right? So you take more time. So the cycle which you're talking about, right? From 10 minutes decision to buy a shampoo, right? To a 3 months to buy a house, right? Maybe a month to buy a car, you do try test, whatever is needed, right? Somehow, again, all these trust factors, everything comes in that too, right? Even buying 10 rupees, right? You know, if it's a proper brand, if it's a brand which looks fake, you will not even spend 10 rupees on that, right? Because it may harm your hair, right? So that's a thing. So, but same B2C, let's say, for example, if Manipal is promoting their heart surgery, right? It's again a B2C kind of thing, right? See the amount of risk factor they have, right? You take even longer. You will go to multiple hospitals, try to figure things out.
Correct. You'll do a lot of consultants.
Lot of consultants. You are trying to figure it out. You'll talk to a lot of people and stuff like that, right? And in B2B, right? B2B, as I told you, it's a very chaotic, right? The risk factors are very, very high. And this is organizational wide impact. It is not one person's impact. If you change your CRM, right, it can bring down the whole system if you buy a wrong thing, right? And then the reason why this goes so long, right, 8 months, right, and I think it's valid. I don't think as the complexity increases, right, the time goes, right? For example, if you're buying a software, let's say, right now, so there is an end user, right? Let's say CRM, I'm a marketing person. I'm buying Salesforce. As an end user, I'll figure it out how it works. Is it giving me the right analytics? I'm able to easily use it. I'm able to use it on mobile. Right? As the end user, I'm fine. But now the IT guy comes. And because this system, I need to put it into my SAP. I need to connect it. Is it safe? Right? What about the IT technology? What are the security implications of buying this software?
Right.
Is it, for example, I'm buying certain, today people buy infrastructure which is of similar brand, right? So it becomes integration. Otherwise, integration is a big headache for all the IT companies. Now, then comes your finance guys, right? Is it really worth spending that kind of money, right? Okay, what is the value proposition? What is the ROI I'm going to get, right? Will it save me time? Or marketing head will look into that, right? Okay, if I buy SAP, if I buy Salesforce, it will help my 10 sales reps reduce 3 hours every day. Is it doing that? If it's not doing, I'm not going to buy. No matter how great your security is, no matter how my team tells me. If it's not giving me, it's not a fancy thing, right? I'm investing like $1 million to build something like that, right? I'm not going to buy, right? So this is what takes time. Finance guys will come and say, this is is it part of your budget? Do you have the budget now, right? Why to spend? Why not take an alternate? Right? This is, let's say, if they're charging $1,000, why not look for something for $500? Right? Why this? Because finance guy has their own point of views, right? So once you have all these people orchestrating their own points, right, which is needed, it's absolutely important to have for a good organization. This is what takes it longer. Right? There are few ways in which you can, for example, if you're a known brand, right? Which you will become after you spend amount of time, right? Like SAP, for example, Salesforce, right? Today, I don't think anybody will second guess. If I have enough money, if I have enough people in my team, I'll buy Salesforce, right? I will not. There's nobody even close to Salesforce. Right? I'm not doing branding for Salesforce. So, but I love that.
It's a fact.
It's a fact, right? So once you reach there, then obviously your sales cycle.
Got it.
And it's also a product, right? So selling products is a very different sales cycle than selling a service. Right? Service is a more complex. It's a longer sales cycle than a product, because product you can always discontinue or something like that, right?
So what I hear from you is that, it's the buying cycle is not just made like that. I think it's a a collective decision to have such kind of long buying cycle because of the multiple layers and the risk factor. And the higher the risk factor, the longer the cycle. Okay,
True.
and which is I think valid. In fact, a good point also. Now that we've spoken about that, spoken about multiple decision makers and all of that. So now let me come to a question or a point which is important for you from a marketing standpoint. Okay, now we have so many buyers today, and that is the big shift that is happening, and multiple decision makers coming and all. So from a marketing standpoint, okay, what is it that has changed for the marketing teams? Because you cannot communicate the same thing to a finance guy, to a IT guy, to a procurement guy, and to a legal guy. All of them are very different. So how do you really, as a marketing team, come back and say that, okay, hey guys, I'm XYZ, I do this, but I talk in a very different way with both the forces. So how has it become challenging for you guys, or what is it? So how do you deal with that?
Sure. That's a great question, Saket, and it really keeps me worried. Right? I give you an example of this exact same point. Right? When we were in my previous company, we were selling testing software, right, to a very large bank. So the generic pitch of a testing software is that it will reduce headcount. Test automation suite. The one thing, that's what most of the people, right? Okay, instead of doing a manual testing, you automate it and you have 10 testers. You don't need 10 testers. You just have one guy, and that's the pitch. Usual pitch most of testing guys take. We also took the same thing to these guys. And the way we started, okay, look, as a value proposition, the first on the top was that it will reduce your workforce by 50%. The answer which you got from the buyer, right? I'm not trying to reduce my headcount.
Okay.
That's not my intention at all.
Okay.
Right? And we lost the pitch there.
Oh.
Because we did not read the customer well. Right? So they were looking for, so the pain point which they had was, okay, why should I have my great engineers working on such a mundane job? Right? I rather use them somewhere else. Right? I'm not looking at reducing cost. I'm a $1 billion bank. Right? By removing 5 people, I'm not going to $1 million. Right? I'm looking for high accuracy with speed. That's the pitch which I need. Right? So you should change your pitch based on who you're selling. You can't go with this product will remain same, everything. But if you take the thing, go to an Indian company, right, with 50, 60 people, or maybe 100 people company, and they are trying to buy a testing software. For them, the intent is to, how can I reduce because they are looking to look at how they can reduce the cost, because cost is the impact. So before you go, take your pitch, right, read the customer well. What is important for them? There is nothing wrong in the pitch, but you're pitching the thing to a wrong customer. That's important. So identifying that, so that's a marketing's job. Right? Identify that, and that's what exactly we do. When so the ICPs which we have multiple ICPs and different personas. So we have different messaging for each of these ICPs. In case of Logituit, it's not that complex, but in SaaS it will be very complex. Right? So each ICP will have a particular pitch, which is written specifically for looking at their point. If I'm talking to an engineer, my tone is going to be engineering tone. If I'm talking to my a CFO, right, my thing, because in one of the case we were talking to a CFO because we figured out through our market intelligence, they are trying to cut cost big time. Right, we got that intelligence, and that's the reason market intelligence is a big part of a marketing team, right? We got that intelligence, and so we built that whole pitch. The pitch is still on. We haven't still won that. We figured it out. They're looking at the cost.
Right.
So we went with that pitch.
Okay.
Right. So that's where. So you should read your customer. Don't go with a generic one fit all cookie cutter pitch. It's not gonna work.
Got it.
You read your customer, right, and make your pitch.
Got it.
Right. That's very, very important. And same thing. Even if you're talking to, for example, if a company. Which is a global company, security is going to be a big concern for them. Right? Give an example. We were trying to sell a product to a big $1 billion company in US. Right? So our idea was to sell them our products. And the moment we started, they went through a pitch, so product pitch, and then we went through the services. They said, I'm not gonna replace my current product with your product. I don't even know how good your products are. My current products are working well. I don't want to use your product because I don't know if it can scale to what I can do, right? So the first point itself, they cut that thing. Don't sell me product. Right? I'm okay with services, right? Either you provide me people or you deliver something from your outsourcing location, stuff like that. Don't sell me product.
Okay.
Because it's not going to work for them, right? So you look at the size of the customer and make a pitch accordingly. We felt really bad when they started telling us that, right? Okay. So what happens in product scenario, they look at how many installation it has. Like for example, Salesforce, they said 20 million people use Salesforce. So it's a proven thing, right? But in our case, because we are very pointed solution for OTT, we will never have 20 million customers. Right? Because there are, I think, about 5,000-6,000 global big OTT players in the world. Right? So it's a very, very narrow thing. So it's very difficult to sell product unless you're selling it to a company who's starting or who is facing a problem and you replace a current product. Replacing a product is a very, very tough pitch. Yeah. Right? For marketing.
Got it. So what I hear from you is that, obviously, one is customize your content
pitch, yes.
or the pitch according to the audience or the buyer that you are
exactly.
within the buying committee that you're talking about. But what I see, which is actually a fact, and we should be doing that, and a lot of people do. But what I see nowadays, especially not every brand is doing it. Okay, everybody is going generic, and this is what we do, and it is for all. Okay, so I think what you're saying is that building that right persona and therefore to cater to their needs and therefore to pitch them accordingly is the key here.
Absolutely.
To be able to build that trust or probably build that confidence in the buyer, right? Perfect. They're leading to my next, discussion point, and we spoke about AI and how AI has been able to generate a lot of content and all of that. Okay. And so that's why a lot of buyers today are well researched. Okay. As you mentioned, then they know. So before they get into the sales meeting, they know 70 to 80% of everything.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, so the question or the other point is that, now there's so many platforms out there which are providing all of this information. Now, as a brand, how do you leverage these kind of platforms so that at the research stage itself, the buyer can, create some kind of a trust for the brand or for the service provider? What are those key platforms that you think are important for a brand to be there and to build that trust for the buyer?
Sure. See, if you're looking at a digital platform, which is the most well-researched and accessible across the globe for everybody, in my experience, LinkedIn has been a great platform.
Okay.
Right? But it's getting really crowded, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
You should look at building your own platforms, right? Which can really either through piggy banking on any of these analyst community guys like Gartners or Forresters, maybe running doing up round tables, right, with your specific customers. I'm talking mostly from my point of view because not everybody is my customer. I have a very specific thing, right? So if my customers are limited, right, and the key decision makers, I can bring them all in a room and talk to them, right? No amount of, because those guys are very high value customers. It's very difficult to find them on LinkedIn, right? You will find the second decision, because usually as I told you, if a CEO is not going to research, he may be the final decision maker, maybe he's the one who signs check. But then there is a lot of team members who will be on LinkedIn, right? Who are researching about the next solution which they need, and they will be reporting these data to them, right? I do that. Like, I ask my team member to do that research and give me the thing. I will not really go and do all this research, right? So building a very, very specific round tables kind of thing, right, works really well. Events global events where you find a customer. See, what happens is in a normal a sales cycle, right? You're talking to just 2, 3, 4, 5 people, right?
Right.
Even if you start with your emailing and your calling and stuff, you're really not able to go talk to more than 4 or 5 people
Right.
in a month, right? But what happens in global events, right? You get all your customers in a single point, right? And all the decision makers are gonna there. If you can have a great presence in that event, it solves a lot of your problem, right? It helps sales like anything, right? And in both my companies, even the current and the previous companies, we have done some fantastic event and generated more than 1,000 meetings, right? At these events, right? And they come with the intent of buy in these events. People don't come just
to attend it.
To attend it. People come intent to buy or shortlisting, or they just want to look at what solutions are there.
Right.
So event is one platform which I highly recommend. But look for event which is specific. Don't go on event which is where everybody is there. Go for something which is and not just that. If, for example, if you have 3 different products, like for example, in case of Logituit, right, we work in so we attend event called NAB, right, which is where you find everybody from broadcasting as well as streaming and
Everyone is there.
anybody related, any hardware in the broadcasting, everyone is there, right? But what we look for, there are events which are specific to connected television. The event which I was talking about, right? Then there are events which are very specific to streaming of sports, where you'll find only sports guys. So there you can focus a lot more clearly on your offerings. Right. So look for events which are very, very specific to your. So one company can attend multiple. For example, there are events which are happening on testing. So you can take your test solution there. Don't go for an IT.com where the 1 million companies already. It's not going to work.
Got it.
So that is another platform. Another one, if you're big enough, right? If you're big enough and you're influential enough to do is having a customer advisory board. That works wonders. Right? It used to work wonder at Saskin at least. So we used to have the heads of all automotive. We have done multiple events on that. One where we had everybody who were in automotive, right? Automotive electronics, right? We got them together. Right, we were discussing certain. So they also got a stage like this, right?
Yeah.
To talk about what exactly is the new, what are they doing?
What are they doing?
What are they doing?
Things,
What are they planning to? So it gives us cue.
Correct.
Oh, they're working on that technology now. Let's build that thing.
Yeah.
Right, so that we can talk to them, and they are already your customers. So the trust factor is already there. To bring them together, give them that platform, right, and you get all the cues from them.
Got it.
Right, but not everybody can do that. So roundtables is another alternate where you can do that. You can bring them, but of course you should have that sort of relation. End of the day, whether it's AI or internet or whatever, it's one-to-one connection. Human-to-human connection. That's what marketing is all about. So everything is important, but if you don't have this one-on-one connect, it's not the no matter what you do, no matter how great your product is, if you don't have one-on-one touch, it's not done.
Got it.
That's the old way of.
That's so. It's very I would say correct also in a way, because at the end of the day, the one-to-one connection that the sales team have with the customer, that really works. Even though I'm well researched, I know 70 to 80% of you and your product and solutions and all of that, that's all fine. But as long as I have that one-on-one connect, whether it's in an event, whether it's in a customer advisory board or anywhere, I think that really helps and markets. Is what you say.
Absolutely.
That's great.
So there's one point which I'm going to add. See, there are 2 ways in which we do this: inbound and outbound. Right. So the stuff which I spoke about, 70% research, they're all from inbound. So the quality of content which you have is paramount. If your social media is in mess, if you don't have proper content on your social media, on website, and you don't have proper landing pages, you don't have a proper PR, right? All those gonna kill your inbound. Right? People figure this out. They search. Why did I get that agency on the top of the list? Because the quality of content
was,
which is already available, and internet. Not today. That's how people are gonna buy. At least the first step, right? At least the first step is going to be through internet, right? If you're not even there, then forget about it. Outbound, when sales one-to-one, obviously it will continue to work the way it's
It will continue.
right.
Yes.
But inbound, when people are searching for you, if they're not finding you on internet, right, you're not good.
Got it.
People who really don't value their social media presence or the kind of quality of content they have, the content, a lot of this content is like 3-year-old, 4-year-old, right? It's not going to work. You must focus on content. The quality of content, the recency of content, right? Proper case studies, right? Video case studies, and all the search engine optimization, your generative search engine optimization, geo, right? You must do all those things. You must get your video test case studies, must get your testimonials, everything. Only then you're inbound, because you can't just depend on one channel. If you just have sales guy can at a one time can contact 3-4 people, 5 people. They can't have 25 conversation. Inbound can have.
Inbound.
Right? Inbound can have, because it's digital. 20 people are searching, they're coming, the leads are flowing into you, and you're answering them. And inbounds usually close faster, because that guy already has an intent that I'm searching because I have a need, right? I'm not searching just for the heck of it, right? I'm searching because I have need, and I have need now.
Correct.
Right? But when we reach through outbound, they do listen to us, right?
Yeah, but they will come back. They'll come back to you later.
When I have a pain, now I heard you, let me come back.
Correct.
I know you guys are good, that's fine.
Okay.
But inbound does wonder in that way. Right. So if you don't have any digital presence, if you don't have any of these social media stuff or all social proofs, right? Inbound, you're going to lose on it.
Got it.
That's very, very important.
Interesting.
For people to have.
Got that. Okay, so the last point, and I think and it's an important one because we spoke about it also. We spoke about AI and all of that. The last question for you is that, do you think AI will replace early sales conversations in the future?
I think so.
Is it? Okay.
It will. At least the consideration part, because as I give you example, right, of my web agencies, right? They did a research and they landed to us. Yeah. I did the research and figured that this is the top agency. I did not even speak to the sales guys.
Yeah, and none of them actually came to you to do a sales pitch. Nobody. You just did your research.
It's the quality of content which they had. They ranked them up, and
and then you just went to the top 3 maybe, and
that's at least the first step. Right. After that, you need humans. But AI can never.
Obviously, after that, you will need humans.
The first step
is where
it's. I think if not today, maybe in very shortly, it will replace the sales.
Fantastic. That's great. Okay, let's see how the future holds.
Right.
So thank you, Shahid. I think it was a very, very insightful conversation. Very interesting points you have shared. And my key take here is in the B2B journey is that, and there has been a good shift very, very large shift that has happened, the way B2B journey has been. And that is that it's currently, or it's now owned by the buyers. It's not owned by the sales or the marketing teams. So as a marketeer, we need to understand the buyer's requirement and the problem. And that is where we need to, because the buyer is now holding it. Okay, they are leading the conversation. Okay, so that's my key take from this conversation. Anything that you want to add on this? Any last points from you?
I think you summed up very well. Only thing which I'd like to tell marketing: know your product well, know your service well. Right? You can't just hide behind jargons. Right? You need to know customer. You need to know customer really well. If you don't know. If you think your job is social media, you're dead. It's not gonna, unless you're adding to the revenue of the company. At least if you're part of that buying cycle, right, through content, through social media, through events, right, it's not gonna work.
Perfect.
So you must make sure that you are on top of your content, on top of your understanding of your customer, on top of your research, right? It's also, so I think today, the boundary between sales and marketing is blurring. Right? I think, at least, in my past company, I used to have revenue targets. Right? So it is blurring. It's absolutely blurring. Sales guys need to know marketing guys need to know sales. If you don't know, you're not going to succeed at all.
Fantastic. Sounds good. I think very, very interesting. I would say very, very insightful points that you shared with us, Shahid. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
And,
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
for our viewers, thank you for tuning in. And for more such insightful conversations, join us at the B2B World Summit and Awards 2026 on March 20th in Bangalore. Until next time, keep your buyer in the center and build your new journey. Thank you so much.